I didn't realize I was a part of uh, the prison pipeline. I wasn't aware how unfairly things were for people of color in comparison to, other people. Um, they will do anything they can, whether innocent or not, to
Right.
get you to take a plea deal or anything.
Right.
Because knowing that's the direction, that'll change the direction of where your life went. Because toward the very end, I beat a case. I just didn't know any better because in the grips of alcoholism and drug addiction, all I wanted to do was take whatever's easiest and get out,
Wow.
not realizing I should have just fought. It's no place for anybody to be.
Right.
It's really not.
Yeah.
For those who actually, commit horrible crimes against humanity, that's the place for them. But for
Yeah.
those who make humanly mistakes, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
some that make choices, and there's some that humanly make mistakes.
Right. With the petty stuff.
Yeah, unbelievable. Especially the so-called drug war that was supposedly implemented by the government because it was more drug addicts that were getting arrested in these big prison sentences than drug dealers. I mean, and there were several times where I was caught with paraphernalia and was charged with possession of the drug, where I would,
Wow.
get in front of the judge and say, Your Honor, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. I was never in possession of. I was in possession of the tools in order to use.
Right. Paraphernalia. Right.
You know what I mean? And
So
so,
like they lock you up for crystal meth, but they'll sell you the oil burner.
100%. So, I didn't got caught with pipes and all types of stuff. And now, mind you, they would test it. And of course, it would come back positive for the use of. Not realizing at some point I said enough was enough and I started fighting for myself. And that's how I beat, one of the last cases.
We started to study up. Like, hold on.
Well, no, I started to have enough because I started realizing that, the same cops were picking me up for the same shit and charging me with the same shit. I was never in possession of these drugs.
Right.
I was in possession of the paraphernalia in order to use it. And at some point, I kept getting in front of the same judge, and the judge would say, hey, let me guess, a pipe, right? I said, yep, because 0.0.01 gram of cocaine is nothing.
Right.
It's
It's nothing at all.
It's nothing.
Right.
And so, and all of a sudden, the one time they picked me up, I know I ain't got no drugs or no pipe on me. All of a sudden, I'm in possession of 2 grams of cocaine. Mind you, I didn't have nothing on me,
So they planted it.
pretty much.
Wow. And was that NYPD?
That was Seattle PD.
Oh, head, stop it. That's
Seattle
wild.
PD.
That's wild.
Because at the time, I was still, not grounded. I was still homeless.
Yeah.
I was still homeless. And my life direction was going nowhere. So at some point, I had enough.
Yeah.
I had enough.
Well, man, I'm thankful you reached that point, though.
Yeah.
Because some of us, man, some of us kind of just...
I'm with a program called the Beyond Project. And I've always volunteered and given back to the community because that's a part of my recovery.
Yeah.
And we go into facilities. Everybody knows I'm a barber by trade. I still got my license and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And with the Beyond Project, I go into facilities and cut hair for the homeless, so the less fortunate.
Nice. Yeah.
And, my biggest project is really New Horizons for homeless teens. But originally it was me and B, the barber. Like, we used to go down on Christmas and Thanksgiving in his mobile barbershop and cut hair right in Pioneer Square
Oh, yeah?
for the homeless
What
on
do you have?
Christmas, and and Thanksgiving.
Huh. A mobile barber. I didn't know you was a barber. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to, you know what I'm saying? Come holler at you about
Get
that,
at me.
man. You know what I mean? Straight up. Man, that's what's up. So, I mean, but you fought it and you ended up beating it.
Yeah, I ended up beating it.
How did that make you feel? I know you had to feel like, you know, Rocky at the top of the stairs or something, you know what I mean?
It made me feel like I needed to do something different.
You felt the
It
the
was
need
time
for
it was,
change.
Yeah, it was
for
time
sure.
to do something different.
Yeah.
It was time to do something different.
You started
You know.
to actually live up to your potential.
Well, I was still on DOC from some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
They still released me. They released me. But there was a DOC hold, so even though I was in court, they was taking us back out to Monroe Camp. And I ran into one of the big dope boys in Chinatown. And it was the one time he finally got caught on a DOC violation after 3 years, his first one. He was only going to do like 14 days, but he had nothing. He was Vietnamese, half black, half Vietnamese. They're GI babies, and black long. And he was like, "Fuck New York, don't you know, I come up in here and I don't have nothing, and now everybody want to act funny." And I'm like, "Nah," because my books were good.
Yeah.
I had a little money.
You was
when I
good.
went
You was on.
So I sent him a pillowcase or two of you know, noodles, rice, and stuff like that. So he put it out there that when I get out to find him. And so I got out because we all know the dates when we're getting out, and everybody and their mama was trying to get a reward from bringing me to Long.
Yeah.
I ended up in Chinatown's jungle for almost 3 days.
Chinatown's jungle.
The jungle.
Was that here?
Yeah, here.
Oh, this Chinatown.
This Chinatown.
Oh, wow.
In the jungle, when it wasn't all about just it being a homeless enclosure, when they were actually cooking kilos of cocaine up in that bitch.
Oh, wow.
And he put me in a tent and told me I wanted for nothing because I took care of him. And because that the Vietnamese that he run with felt more privied. They thought that they had something coming only because.
Yeah. But no.
And so at one point, man, I got up out of there. And I'm like, yo, I can't do this. So I walked out, and the main entrance was right there on Dearborn. And I looked over at Goodwill. I looked over at the old Goodwill Learning Center where the number 42 bus used to stop at. I looked at Goodwill. I looked to the right, and on Rainier and Dearborn, the number 42 bus was making the left turn. I ran across the street and jumped off the bus, and I never looked back.
Wow.
I never looked back.